Imagine walking through the silent canyons of the American Southwest. The wind whispers between ancient stone walls, carrying stories long forgotten. The sun reveals shadows of rooms carved out nearly 1,000 years ago. And everywhere you look, you feel the presence of a civilization that once lived, loved, built, worshipped, and then vanished. But beneath the beauty of these cliff dwellings, archaeologists uncovered something they never expected, something disturbing. Bones burned in strange ways, cut marks where no cut marks should be, tools stained with human remains, and even DNA inside ancient feces. So the question is unavoidable. Did the Anasazi, one of the most fascinating Native American cultures, ever resort to cannibalism? Or is there another explanation hidden deep in their abandoned cities? Let's uncover the evidence and the mystery. To understand the controversy, we must look back to the late 1200s. The Anasazi, also known as the ancestral Puebloans, lived in the Four Corners region, Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico. They built great houses in Chaco Canyon, towering cliff dwellings at Mesa Verde, and intricate communities connected by long, straight roads. For centuries, their society thrived. Fields of corn stretched across the mesas. Families gathered in kivas for ceremonies. Trade networks reached hundreds of miles. And then, everything collapsed. Villages were abandoned, cliff dwellings emptied, and signs of violence appeared in places where peace had once ruled. So what happened? Some archaeologists believe drought, famine, and internal conflict pushed the Anasazi to their limits. Others believe warfare with migrating groups brought chaos. But among these explanations sits the most controversial idea of all. During the final decades of Anasazi society, acts of cannibalism may have occurred. Now, before we go further, remember this. This does not mean the Anasazi were cannibals as a cultural practice. If it happened at all, it likely happened during extreme desperation, war, or ritual. The evidence is complex and often misunderstood. So let's look at what archaeologists actually found. Our story begins at a site in Colorado called Cowboy Wash. Here, researchers discovered human bones that showed clear signs of cooking. The ends of long bones were cracked open, the way you would break deer or elk bones to access marrow. Some bones were burned, others had cut marks from stone tools. But the most shocking discovery was something else entirely. A piece of fossilized human feces, a coprolite. Inside it was human DNA. In other words, someone consumed human flesh and then digested it. This was not based on myths or hearsay, it was based on hard scientific evidence. This discovery shook the archaeological world. Was it an isolated event? Was it a sign of warfare? Or was it something even darker? To find out, researchers looked deeper into other sites. At Mancos, Chaco Canyon, and Mesa Verde, more unsettling evidence emerged. Burned human bones were found in hearths, the same type used for cooking food. Bones showed pot polish, a shine that forms when bones are stirred inside cooking pots. Some skeletons were dismembered in deliberate ways, almost identical to the butchering of animals. Stone tools found nearby held microscopic traces of human blood. These findings were not random. They appeared across multiple sites, often dating to the same troubled period, the 11th and 12th centuries. But this raises an important question. Why would the Anasazi do this? There are three major theories. Theory 1, survival cannibalism. The late 1200s were brutal. Tree ring studies show the region was struck by megadroughts that lasted decades. Crops failed, water disappeared, communities starved. If people were dying and food was scarce, some groups may have resorted to the unthinkable, not out of culture, but out of sheer desperation. Ask yourself honestly, what would you do if your family was starving, the rivers were dry, and winter was coming? History shows that even advanced civilizations, from medieval Europe to shipwrecked sailors, resorted to cannibalism when pushed to the edge. Theory 2, warfare or massacre. Another explanation is that outside groups attacked Anasazi villages. The victors may have used cannibalism as an act of terror, a psychological weapon to scare enemies. In many ancient cultures, consuming enemies symbolized dominance or humiliation. If a raiding group wanted to send a message, this would do it. Some skeletons show signs of violent death before being dismembered, supporting this theory. So we must ask, were the Anasazi victims, not participants, of these acts? Theory 3. Ritual cannibalism. This is the most controversial idea. Some anthropologists believe acts of cannibalism were tied to spiritual or ceremonial beliefs. This does not mean it was widespread or socially accepted. Instead, it may have been part of isolated priesthoods or secret societies linked to Chaco Canyon, a place known for its massive ceremonial complexes. Petroglyphs at some sites show symbols related to sacrifice, transformation, and rebirth. Were these connected? We may never know, but the possibility remains that certain rites were practiced during times of stress. Despite all the evidence, not everyone agrees with the cannibalism theory. Some Native American groups strongly reject the idea, arguing it misrepresents their ancestors. Some archaeologists believe the bones could have been altered by natural processes, like fire or erosion. Others argue that violence and mutilation may have been symbolic rather than culinary. And the biggest question remains: do burned bones and cut marks truly prove cannibalism? Or do they simply show that bodies were handled in unusual ways during a time of chaos? Science gives us clues, but not certainty. So what do we know for sure? We know that the late Anasazi world was a time of hardship, conflict, and rapid change. We know that many villages were abandoned suddenly. We know that violence occurred. And we know that some archaeological sites contain evidence consistent with cannibalism. But we also know that the Anasazi were a deeply spiritual, artistic, and intelligent people. Their cliff dwellings, astronomical alignments, road systems, and pottery are some of the greatest achievements of ancient North America. If cannibalism occurred, it was likely rare, desperate, or symbolic, not a reflection of their culture as a whole. So the mystery remains. Standing in the ruins of Mesa Verde or Chaco Canyon today, surrounded by silence and shadow, it is hard to imagine the struggles these people faced. Were they victims of war, victims of famine, or participants in rituals we no longer understand? The bones whisper part of the story, but not all of it. One thing is certain: the Anasazi were human, capable of brilliance, beauty, fear, and survival. And in their final century, they faced choices no one should ever have to face. So what do you think? Was it desperation, war, ritual, or is the truth still hidden beneath the desert dust?